Right. Well, because of the green movement, how new is the technologies in the U.S.? I know that the green movement basically started in Europe before it came here, but it's kind of almost centering here now. How has Westpac been able to position themselves to take advantage of that?
Well, much of the technology is still here,
Right.
In terms of photovoltaics. You know, photovoltaics is only a very small part of what you referred to as the green movement, if you will. But it's a very, very big and very significant part. But most of that technology comes out of the Silicon Valley. I mean, these cells that create energy, electricity from sunlight, are basically the deposition of material onto an inorganic substrate, which is identical to how chips are made. In fact, some of the same equipment is used. Thin film photovoltaics use the exact same material, the same processes as making the chip in your computer or your telephone or your cell phone or wherever you want to go. So that's why it's centered here.
Right. Where do you see the solar industry and, more importantly, Westpac going in the years to come, especially the next year with, the economic downturn, but the green energy and just the alternative energy market really hasn't felt it as much as other industries. What do you see for Westpac and for the solar industry, as a whole over the next year or two?
Well, first of all, photovoltaics and green energy has no place to go but up. Our current over-reliance on petrochemicals is going to come to a screeching halt when we suddenly reach the bottom of the Saudi Arabian, vast oil barrel underneath the ground, and that will happen. That's not a matter of if, that's a matter of when, and those who study it believe it's going to be sooner rather than later. So we know for certain that we can't rely on oil,
right?
And nor should we. So the certainty of reliance on things like photovoltaics for energy generation is 100%. I mean, if you were a betting man, put your money there, guaranteed. Okay. So the next part of your question is how does Westpac position itself? Well, these kind of products, and by that I mean products that generate energy directly from the sun, which is where all energy comes from anyway.
Right.
But correctly, the solar thermal products and solar photovoltaic products had an initial start in the late 70s and early 80s. Okay? But it didn't last very well. It was mostly solar thermal products. And they didn't last primarily because the products were not reliable. I was one of many, many, many people that jumped into this very enthusiastically, and I had solar hot water heating and solar domestic heating in my house, neither one of which lasted more than 3 years. Not because I was careless about building, but just because the products were not designed for reliability. They just fell apart.
Right.
Okay? So what we're trying to do is join in the, I think, very valid push to make these products very reliable. I really want to have the solar cells that are installed now be lasting and providing efficient electricity in the 30 years from now. When my grandkids are starting to figure out what's going on. So that's why we're in the business.
Is that kind of a solar industry and an alternative, energy industry thing? Because as the technology grows, the reliability grows out of the technology. Once you have that technology, is that kind of how it works? Or at least, in this case?
Actually, just the opposite.
Huh.
Believe it or not. A lot of the new technology is actually rather fragile.
Right.
So they need the reliability testing even more than previous technology. I'll give you a good example. The big push in photovoltaics now is to get the efficiency of these of energy generation down to the equivalent of what coal or natural gas is, somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 per watt, and they're approaching that. But the improvements necessary to get there wind up being embedded devices that aren't really proven, and are in many are more fragile than the previous technology, or certainly not as reliable. But their reliability hasn't been tested. So in the search for higher and higher efficiency in photovoltaics, the big concern that I have, anyway, and other people express it similarly, is for efficiency with reliability, and that's really what we need.
Well, which makes Westpac all the more, perfect company to transition the industry from, into ultimate reliability, right?
Well, exactly, and we didn't get into photovoltaic testing because we saw a big opportunity there. We actually started doing this testing because photovoltaic companies literally pulled us into it.
Right.
And they just to start doing some testing of their products because we had been doing similar testing for other industries and other functions, primarily logistics and distribution. And some of the companies around us anyway figured out that they could use our services to assist them, and they really opened our eyes, quite honestly, into the adaptability of this technology for distribution testing to their products, and that's why we once our eyes were open, we couldn't go back the other way.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense. Herb Schoeneman, President and CEO of Westpac Incorporated, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Solar Power Daily News at Solar Power International 2009. Enjoy the rest of the show, sir, and good luck to you and Westpac as it's coming out of Solar Power International.
Thank you, Chris, and good luck to your magazine. I appreciate the service that you offer, and we'll look forward to working with you in the future.